Mr. Bridge will be filling in as the clerk of council, and he does an excellent job. We have no doubts that he will perform just as perfectly as Miss Berner does. So, Mr. Bridge, would you call roll, please?
Absolutely. Mayor Lowry.
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
Councilman Cobb.
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Here.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilman Grimm.
Here.
And Councilman Roadwall.
Here.
We have all present.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bridge. And let's see, moving on. Tonight's invocation will be done by Vice Mayor Cook.
If you bow your heads, our Heavenly Father, please grant us the wisdom to do the business for the citizens and this council. Please protect our first responders, all of our citizens, our troops overseas, and those of us who are attempting to work with this coronavirus. With that, we pray, amen.
Thank you very much, sir. And moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Grimm has the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America,
and to the republic
and to the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. All right, and moving on to action on the minutes, none, communications, none, city manager's report, none, comments from members of the public. Mr. Bridge, how are we looking?
Let me get my iPad up here. And I want to do Face ID. Let's see. We have no new messages, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yep.
And committee reports, none tonight, resolutions, none, ordinances, none, other business. We go to legislation discussion for the city of New Carlisle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And
Sure.
some of the legislation pieces that we have on tonight is Resolution 2021-08R. That was introduced at the 3/15/2021 meeting. And that is a resolution amending Resolution 2020-21R, the capital improvement program for the city of New Carlisle, Ohio, for additional capital purchases. We are doing this one tonight. Council will vote on it. We had an opportunity to actually get our former medic that was replaced with a newer one to house the wastewater rover security system. I mean, not security, sewer camera system. Mr. Kicko had went to another location and saw that facility used an old medic to house their rover and decided it would be a good opportunity for us to use ours. So that's what we have in front of council tonight. As far as that ordinances goes, we have ordinance 2021-05, and that is an ordinance supplementing certain appropriations contained in New Carlisle City Ordinance 2021-01. That is a ordinance measure that we do sometimes throughout the year, and it's just to reappropriate expenses for revenues. Ordinance 2021-06 is on tonight, and that's an ordinance establishing compensation rates for the city manager of New Carlisle, Ohio. And the remaining two ordinances are introduced for tonight, and we voted on the 4/19 meeting, and that is an ordinance 2021-07. And that one is an ordinance amending section 24609 of the codified ordinances of the city of New Carlisle regarding employee vacations. And then also we have ordinance 2021-08, which is an ordinance amending chapter 246 of the New Carlisle codified ordinances to add an additional appendix for the city's organizational chart. That is all the legislation that is on for the agenda. Be happy to discuss any of it.
All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mr. Bridge, council, any discussion, questions, comments on the ordinances Mr. Bridges went over? Ms. Eggleston.
Yeah, on ordinance 2021-06. I think we need to amend that to make the section 4, that last part is kind of confusing. It says his increase will be backdated to March 3rd, 2020, which is the date of the last pay increase for the city manager, which isn't true. The last pay increase was March 3rd, 2019.
get this.
So maybe it should say which would have been. Because we don't want to go back to 19.
Right. We
Just
want to
take
do
off-
it to 2020 date, but that last section, maybe that's the date he should have gotten his last pay increase.
Go ahead, Mr. Graham.
How about if we just take that part off? Just say that this pay rate increase shall be backdated to March 3rd, 2020, period.
That works.
Is that okay, Peggy?
Yeah, that's fine. That last section, he didn't get a pay increase in 20.
Mr. Graham?
So,
Now, when this comes up in the regular meeting, we can amend it to remove that part and then pass it as amended, correct?
yeah,
Yes.
Let's do that.
okay.
All right. Everybody okay with that?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
So we're just taking off everything past March 3rd, 2020, and just leaving it at March 3rd, 2020.
March 2020, period.
March 2020. All right. Thank you, Ms. Eggleston. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Did you have something else, Peg?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. When they set off the tornado siren a week or two ago, and I was inside the house and outside the house, and I couldn't hear it on the south end of town. From my understanding, we have, where's it at? The sirens are at Westlake and at the pool. Is there any way we can put one on the south end of town?
If I remember correctly, just from conversation and going through the other process of the other two, I think those run us around $25,000 a piece, which, I mean, it's a little chunk of change, but I don't think it's anything drastic. I mean, I'm open to, I mean, if you were outside and you couldn't hear it, I'm open to the conversation of looking into another one by all means.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I went, because my daughter-in-law lives in Bethel, Miami, and
Yeah.
she heard it. Because she called me and said, what's going on? And she, I asked if it was still going off, and she said yes. And I walked outside and I couldn't hear it, but she heard it over Miami County.
What fund does that come out of, Randy? Do you know? I mean, because I think we give that.
We could definitely take it out of the general fund. That would probably be the most, and I can get with Colleen. I don't know if that's something we can take out of miscellaneous funds. It'd probably be best bet just out of the general fund.
Yeah, it'd probably, if it was something council wanted to move forward with, it'd probably be the easiest way to do it, to wait till next year, so we don't have to change anything in the budget and things of that nature. But does council have any thoughts or opinions on it?
I'm just a couple blocks north of Peggy and I hear it inside.
I don't hear it.
I mean, I don't
I'm
know. It could be. It
south
could be.
of her.
Yeah, it may be a wind. It could be also wind and how the wind may be blowing that particular moment or day.
I mean, what's the range on these? I mean, what's, when we purchased them, how far did they say that, you could hear them audibly from their location?
I don't know. Chief, I don't know.
Mile, half mile?
Let's say, Chief, can you? Do you have any knowledge on that off the top of your head?
You're muted.
What's that, sir?
We're talking about a discussion of a potential third tornado siren. Miss Eggleston was talking about how she was outside of her home when the last one was tested and she couldn't hear it. So we were just discussing whether a third one would be, if it was, needed, and just general discussion on the topic.
You didn't hear him this morning?
I wasn't.
Okay, because I know they went off. I heard him here from the station.
Okay.
No.
Do you know what kind of range those are supposed to have as far as being able to hear them?
Not exactly, Mr. Bridge.
Did a quick Google search, anywhere from a mile or two, depending on the size of the siren.
Okay. And the closest one to that part of town,
Pool.
well, it'd be the Westlake property.
Pool.
Well, no, the
Or the
closest
pool.
one to her would be at the pool.
Yeah, you're right. at the pool. So I don't know. Maybe we just a thought. Maybe we I know you're on. We're all on social media. Maybe right before the next test, Peggy, we could everyone put it out on our page and say, hey, give us your feedback on where you are. And if you can or can't hear it and where you're at, just get some feedback and see what people say. I think that'd be a good start. Maybe.
They test every first Monday of the month, 10 o'clock.
Yep.
First Monday of the month at 10.
Yep. I know, this one is right here in our backyard almost, being at Westlake. And I mean, I know there are times where it's on being tested. I can hear it way better than I can on other days. But again, I'm sure it's probably how the wind's blowing and things of that nature. But yeah, so. Anybody else on that topic? All right. Any other topics? I had one. I did some research on, just out of curiosity, for my own curiosity, I guess, on water towers recently. I was watching a video that was online. I'd come across my YouTube feed about the old Mendelssohn's building down in Dayton. And it was really neat. They were doing a little tour of the building and talking about some of the old, buildings in the area, historical properties and things of that nature. And they had mentioned the water tower that was on the other side of the building, or not on the Mendelssohn's building. I think it's across the street, but it's on top of another building next to it. And it's an old black water tower. And I kind of got curious. So I sent out an email to the city of Dayton and just asked them for some history on that tower. And I thought it was actually a city tower, but it wasn't. It was for, whatever the manufacturing company was at that time in that building. They needed more water pressure. But we got into a conversation over the phone, and I was asking them what they knew about water towers as far as being abandoned. Do they have to be filled with water or sand? And they did some research on their end, and they said from what their engineers have been said, that their towers that are abandoned do not have to be filled with sand or water. They said that they only need to be, I shouldn't say only because it's still kind of a feat, that they need to be vented. And, if they're extremely rusty, then obviously they need to be painted on the inside for structural integrity. But it was an interesting conversation. So I just want to put that out there. But that's all I had. Does anybody else got anything else? Ms. Eggleston.
Is there any way we can get more information on that before we tear down our old one?
As far as, you mean from,
I don't know who we would need to get it from.
did we sign on the dot? Did we sign on the dotted line for the tower and the company, Mr. Bridge?
I don't think so.
Right.
I was just a
Didn't-
maintenance call with that, because we're going to have it painted. You're going to have to enter probably a maintenance program similar to what you're doing on Adams.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. I remember seeing the inside pictures of it. It didn't look bad. I thought it would look actually a lot worse than what it was. But I was just interested in what they said. And I mean, they did say it didn't have to be filled, but the Mr. Kitco had brought in says that it did. So it was just kind of I don't know if it's a matter of opinion or actual, a state law or a law that goes for certain areas of the country. I don't know. It was just interesting. So. But Mr. Vice Mayor.
Doesn't our agreement with the church state that in the event that it comes offline, that the property reverts back to the church?
I believe you are 100% correct, sir.
He is.
So in that case, I would assume that once it's offline, it's going to have to come down.
Yeah, I mean, my 2 cents on that is unless they wanted to see it stay up as much as they, some of the other citizens want to see it. But I mean, I wouldn't lie if that was my church or my property and it was sitting empty. I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably feel a little nervous sitting underneath that thing.
Yes, especially for the area and how predominant we are with high winds seems like nowadays. I mean, it seems like every year we're getting, 45-mile-an-hour gust winds on a regular basis, much more than we have in the past.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
It would be a place to put the siren.
Right. It comes down, siren goes up.
You always put the siren on top of the fire or the new police station.
Yeah. Mr. Vice Mayor, sir.
Well, my concern is, number one, if this thing, let's say, stays up, is filled or whatever, where's our liability start and end?
Oh, it would be, yeah. I mean, we would be 100% responsible because it would still be our property and under our insurance, and God knows what that would do to our insurance premiums if something was to happen. Is that fair to say, Mr. Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Okay. So no, I'm not necessarily making the argument to try and keep it again. It just, like I said, I saw the video and it sparked some interest. And I just want to see what they had to say. So, anyone else? Anything else? Any other subjects? The warm weather has been great, has it not been?
It's fantastic.
Amazing.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
For those of us that attended Mr. DeWine or the Governor DeWine's situation on Friday, I think it was a learning experience for all of us. And I think for those, both Linda, Peggy, and Mr. Cobb and myself, I think we had a grand time. And I think we had some good conversation with Governor DeWine, with Rick Loans, Charlie Patterson, among other people, and some of those residents there. But I think it was well worth the time spent.
Good to hear. Yeah, thank you all that had the opportunity to make it. I just got back from vacation. I couldn't take the exact next day off to go, but glad some of you guys got to make it. That's great.
Since we've got a couple of minutes,
Yes.
we have a mandatory charter review this year.
I'm glad you said that.
And our charter needs some serious review. I believe 2 people have already volunteered for that.
Who's 2? I know Mr. Hall was one of them. Who was the second?
Pat Kraybacher.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note of that one.
She's also served on it before, so.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Does anybody else have any? Go ahead, Mr. Bridge. All right.
Would council like me to go ahead and put another posting on Facebook requesting volunteers for charter review tomorrow?
Yeah, that'd be great. I think if all council members have got that opportunity, they could do it on their pages as well. So definitely.
I mean, one of the things that this whole COVID thing has driven home is communication with the city and the public. And to have a rule that says that you have to publish everything in a paper of general circulation anymore is a joke. And we need to get something on there so that we can make the official place where things are posted, either the front page of the city's page or their Facebook page or whatever. But we need to have a way that we can officially do something online.
Mr. Bridge.
That's actually a state requirement, ORC, that we have to publish in a paper of general circulation. So there's a big push to allow us to do online stuff, but the state hasn't budged on that yet. I mean, it's a very valid point. You know, when the local newspaper was in town, we could do a legal advertising for $30. Well, now that we have to use the new Sun, that price has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Truly has, so there has been a push for that to change. Right now, it has not changed. And again, that is a state ORC requirement. So until the state budgets on it, I don't know if we can just get away with doing basic Facebook posts. We'll always have that legal requirement for the paper.
Well, and there's still a lot of, I don't know if I'd say a lot, but there's still, some of our population that does not use social media. I mean, some of the older members of our community still use the newspaper. Go ahead, Linda.
And what high double-digit number of percentage don't get a newspaper at all?
Exactly.
I mean,
Oh,
we're not
yeah.
communicating.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, I totally, I see the exact trend that what you're talking about, but I mean, we have to make sure that it's out there for everybody, not just for one group. I mean, the way I see it, but
I'm really hoping that the state kind of looks at, because we've been doing the online meetings, and it's, I mean, a lot of municipalities have changed the way they do their public meetings. So I'm kind of hoping they kind of review this past year and see the benefit of it, and then kind of change the rules to be more modern.
Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer we're going to reach more people by sharing it on Facebook and using social media than in a newspaper alone.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not just government. I mean, it's business. How much businesses learn how they can accomplish more work with, less time, I guess, if you will. Go ahead, Linda.
I mean, oh, sorry, I forgot I had stuff in the dryer. How about we be proactive and draft some kind of a letter to the state legislature and communicate somehow to them the situation we find ourselves in, and say that we think that rule needs to be seriously considered, because we can't be the only ones in the same position.
Yeah, no, I don't see why there would be a problem doing that. I mean, any one of us council members could do it. One of us could write it, or write it as a group, and all of us sign it, or however you would want us to do it. Mr. Grimm.
Several years ago, the state wanted to get rid of the requirement to publish it in a newspaper, general circulation. But the Ohio Newspaper Association fought it vigorously. They compromised. Well, at the time, it was good news for me. But they compromised. You have to publish it in a newspaper, general circulation, and the newspaper has to put it on a state public notice website, which is good for businesses looking for bid opportunities, but not good for citizens. With this new website of ours, we should have a place where we can post legal notices, things like that, and then just promote it on Facebook or other media.
Yep. Glad you said that. That's another one. Mr. Bridge, can I ask about the website since you mentioned it?
Then it's about done. We got the headshots done. I don't know where Scott is with it, but the headshots have been sent over to him. We have the aliases done, so I will check back with him, but it should be ready to launch very, very soon.
Awesome. Counting down.
All
right. Anyone else? Other topic, same topic, all the above? Mr. Vice Mayor.
That brings up another point. We were, I guess, as Mr. Cobb and I came in the door up there Friday, we were questioned as to who we were. Have we done any more on the, I guess, as identification badges?
No, we'll get you those. Let me make a note of that. I'll put it on my to-do list.
You know what, Randy, you could probably, since you own those headshots, you could probably just use those onto the badge, could you not?
Well, I was just thinking about that. I don't know how the pictures are going to be because they're so far back. Whereas we get so close for those employees.
Right.
If anything, I'll just have them stop and get a picture of them real quick.
Okay.
It's really clear up because remember those pictures are really small on there.
Yeah.
And it's so far back. It's a lot of body.
Yeah.
Is the ID maker still at the pool? Do you know, Mike?
April, where's the ID maker? City building. Howie's got it.
We do.
It's in the cabinet behind Angela.
Okay. Yeah, we did discuss that a few months ago. We'll get those made for you guys.
Go ahead, Peg.
Those pictures that Andy sent, the headshots, you can zoom in on those and crop them.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
And they're pretty high resolution.
Well,
Yeah, very high resolution. So you can just zoom in on them and crop them to the size you need.
We don't have a headshot for Mr. Cobb to begin with, so We'll have to get just snap a picture of him real quick and take a few seconds.
Yeah. I know you've done a few, we've done a few of them up there with the bookcase in the background of the city building, or just something basic of work.
Yeah, it will. Not a problem.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Anything else? Council? Chief, anyone? Chief, while you got you here, how's everything going your way?
I think he's muted.
Things going good. I mean, the new power tools are in service. We got our first training with them and went real well, very impressed with them. It's the thing of the future. All of our other equipment that we'll be buying, smoke injection fans, scene lighting and everything will be comparable to that equipment where it'll all take the same battery. And what's nice is those batteries are Milwaukee batteries. We can go to Lowe's and buy them.
Oh, great.
So, but yeah, the power tools, they're quiet. You don't have the generator running in the background. You don't have the hydraulic hoses laying all over the car. It's that type of thing. It's definitely a fantastic new piece of equipment for us.
So if the vice mayor locked his keys in that newer car, you could probably get them out with those tools.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Cook, you know who to call now.
Well,
He
the
knows.
only thing about it is I don't have keys anymore.
Oh, that's right. Just the fob.
That's the fob, and it doesn't leave me.
All right. Someone had Miss Eggleston. Go ahead, please.
Chief, were you doing the training at Madison today?
Yes, we were. The guys were
Okay.
the crew that was on duty was doing some ladder training. With a ladder truck, they take people out and teach them how to spot a building. Driving a ladder truck and spotting a building with a ladder truck is two totally different operations. So they were spotting the ladder and getting used to setting it up on a house or setting it up on a building.
Yeah, I saw you when we walked past, and I was thinking that it was probably a training session, but
Yeah,
I didn't want to
that's
assume.
that's one of the better buildings in the city for us to go do it on. We don't disturb occupants of business or anything while we're doing it. And it gives them a good avenue of training, and also to get them out there, gets the stick up in the air, and they have to climb it and make sure they're still used to climbing a 75-foot ladder.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have wanted to be standing on top of that roof, though.
I told them when they go up, they know what they're doing. They sound it before they step, and they take a tool with them and sound the roof before they step on it. That type of thing.
Yeah, I saw two of them up there. I don't know that I want to be on that roof.
All right. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. And anyone else? All right. Well, with that being said, it looks like we'll wrap this meeting up.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I'll go with, I think, Mr. Grimm. It was really a tie, but I'll just go with Grimm as your
Okay.
first, and a second by Miss Eggleston for an adjournment.
All right. Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
and we are adjourned 7-0.
All right. We'll see
See
everyone
y'all
back
in a bit.
7
See you in a
o'clock.
bit.
for regular
All
meeting.
right.